Trump gutting the FBI. Breaking right now, we have learned that there are 5,000 names that the FBI is turning over to the White House. They all worked on cases related to January 6th and the Justice Department. And guess what? They're all possibly on the chopping block. He's made that very clear. He doesn't want anybody who is out there investigating him as part of this team, something that the left is really freaking out about. In fact, if you go over to CNN and you see one Andrew McCabe, he's the former deputy director of the FBI, he's really, really not happy. Let me show you.
This is totally unprecedented. FBI rank and file agents and analysts who make up the vast majority of the field offices who do the work of investigating these cases, of executing search warrants, of executing arrest warrants, doing surveillance, electronic surveillance, whatever it might be. Those people are never touched by the political winds that blow through every 4 years, nor should they be. They, as you said, they don't pick their work. They're assigned to the work that they do. The work they do is lawful. It's within FBI policies, and not doing the work is not really an option for them, right? They come to the FBI. Most of them come intending to stay for the entirety of their careers, 20 years or more, 20 years on the agent side, a little bit more for the support side. And so to be targeted in this way for termination potentially or retribution simply for doing their jobs on a major national security case is incomprehensible to them or anybody that knows the organization. I've talked to more FBI people in the last 4 days than I did in the prior 4 years. As John has described it accurately, it is a place in utter disarray right now. People are worried about, how am I going to pay the bills? How am I going to support my family? If I lose, if you're anywhere in the middle of that career, not close to retirement, if you get fired, you're done. That's the end of your reputation, your ability to get a new job. You lose your pay, you lose your chance at a pension.
And you lose everything. I mean, forget about the people that lost everything because somehow they got tied up with having been a Trump supporter, right? Forget about the people that got in trouble because, they were being profiled because the FBI didn't like what they were doing at the school board meetings. Forget about all those people. Look, I know none of this is easy, but Donald Trump was elected, let's be very clear, for a reason. Was he not? Because Americans were really, really tired of what they saw. They didn't like the warfare that was lawfare, that was a direct result of the DOJ and the FBI and the collusion with the Biden administration. I mean, I'm telling you, I personally felt it. I mean, I was shut down on one of my accounts I couldn't access for my audience for about a year because I dared to actually send out the Hunter Biden laptop story. I mean, that was pretty darn alarming. And yet they're going to sit there and they're going to tell you, no. The bad thing is that they're going to fire these poor FBI agents. Look, I mean, maybe these FBI agents, I get it. They got tied up with the wrong crowd, so to speak. But I think what's important here is that when you see any kind of CEO go into a business and try and make change, if they feel as though there's a ton of resistance against them and their ideas, then guess what? They have to make changes because they're the chief executive. That's part of what comes with the territory. And so if you have a whole team of people that are utterly resistant to you, then guess what? You don't really have a choice. You actually have to make some moves to try and actually get your people in there, the right people in there that are going to buy in to whatever it is you are selling, so to speak. And yet now you got FBI agents, this is interesting, I want to share with you, that are looking to sue. They're trying to sue as a result of this because they are that mad, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, CNN picking up on the story, etc. FBI employees, they're filing a class action lawsuit against the DOJ over a questionnaire tied to the efforts of purging the workforce. So again, more of the same, I think that we can say, just more of a lot of resistance, right? A lot of resistance here. And you're going to continue to see this. So we're going to get bogged down, in this legal woes 2.0? I don't think so. I think this administration wants to move on. They want to get stuff done. And that's why you're seeing, just as we look at the wires right now, what's crossing more and more news, it's expected that Donald Trump is going to ban people that were originally born one sex from competing in sporting events at the local school and actually at the top level, at the collegiate level as well. If you were born as one gender, you're not going to be able to compete as another gender. So a whole bunch of these things going in, and this is really, really freaking everybody out. In fact, the left is saying effectively that he's just taken over the government. This is what they would call a hostile takeover. Listen to Jen Psaki.
Because what's happening right now is a hostile takeover of the U.S. government. There's no other way to describe it. It's happening clearly across our justice system, where just a few hours ago, a deadline passed for FBI employees to fill out a questionnaire detailing their involvement in January 6 cases. In other words, they were asked to fill out basically a loyalty test. That comes after an unprecedented purge of the FBI on Friday night, when the Trump administration forced out top FBI career officials, multiple FBI field office leaders, and a number of DOJ prosecutors who worked on January 6th cases. Tonight, I'm going to talk to one of the prosecutors who was fired on Friday. His name is Jake Strubing. He was back at the U.S. Attorney's Office in D.C. this morning, where he was escorted to his office to pick up his things, drop off his computer, his phone, and his credentials. This is going to be his first interview since he was fired. He has a lot to say, and he's going to be at this table with me in just a moment. But of course, as you all know, it's not just law enforcement where there is a hostile takeover of the government. And it's not a takeover at the hand of Trump alone. I mean, this takeover is also happening at the direction of his unelected best friend, Elon Musk. His latest target was the United States Agency for International Development. And that agency is the one that not only leads on humanitarian assistance around the world, but also works to combat corruption and foreign aid programs. It's a big part of what they do. I kind of see how that could make Elon Musk a bit uncomfortable. So what do you think he did? You may already know. Well, he removed two of the top leaders of the organization who wouldn't do his bidding over the weekend. And then overnight, last night, employees received an email ordering them not to come into the office today. They weren't given a reason or any sort of rationale. They were basically just told not to show up. Many were even blocked from the system and locked out of their email accounts.
Because you see, Elon Musk and Doge are taking a really hard look at USAID, and they're actually going to be just annihilating a whole bunch of programs. Oh, they really, really don't like that over at MSNBC, as you can imagine. In fact, Joy Reid is calling this not just a hostile takeover, but basically the dissolving of democracy in some 20 days.
Over the past 2 weeks, which kind of feels like it's been 2 years, we have learned just how fragile our democracy is and how relatively easy it is for someone who's determined and really well-funded to steal and corrupt it. If you were going to write a playbook for how to steal a democracy in less than 20 days, it would sure look a lot like this.
Not like that, right? Not like the spies that lied, not like the 51X spooks, including the former deputy director of the CIA who actually orchestrated the entire thing. That wasn't like some kind of conspiracy to take over the government, to kick Donald Trump off of Twitter, to kick Donald Trump off of Meta. I mean, you got the Ayatollah there, but no Donald Trump, right? I mean, it takes Elon Musk coming in, buying it, getting rid of 80% of the employees, and redoing the whole thing for actual information to get out. I'm sorry, but you know what? We got to actually have a better starting place than this. 51 rather important people were led by the former deputy director of the CIA and the former Secretary of State, who was at that time pining away, hoping he would get that gig as Secretary of State, working for his big guy, the big guy, one Joe Biden. So Antony Blinken teamed up with all these folks. The email just came out yesterday. Actually, we got proof of it. John Brennan saying, yep, add me to the list. This is a great initiative because we're going to need some talking points to follow up on. You know, we got to give the media something. So there was most definitely, it's like this tug of war, like who's going to win? And now, guess what? He came in, he's like, I'm not playing that game anymore. It's over. Your FBI is over. Your USAID is over. Your whole idea that a boy that was born as a boy but then competes as a girl is going to win all the blue ribbons and the scholarships at school, that's over too. Things are going back to normal because we're going to make America great again, right? I mean, isn't that the goal here? Isn't that why people elected him? I do believe it is. Reminder, subscribe, share, like, all that good stuff here on the show.